Hi, I'm Chase. Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to be here. Like she said, I'm from Bells, Tennessee. So I grew up, went to Crockett County High School, Bells Elementary School. I came here when I was like this tall, so I went to the elementary store. But yeah, I'm a Christian artist in Nashville, and God's opened some doors for me in the last few years to pursue that opportunity and be a singer. And I've written with some amazing writers. Worked with this amazing development guy. He's just wonderful. And it's funny because he was like, "Man, you've got a unique voice. You really I really could see you doing this, but you're about 20% where you need to be," which means I had 80% to go. So, but 3.5 years later, here I am, and I'm getting an opportunity. He's like, "Man, go out and play, and start doing this. We're going to release a song and try to push it to radio and all that stuff." So God's really opening some doors, and He's good. But I'm going to tell you how I got here. This is my testimony. So when I was 5 years old, probably one of the most important events of my life happened, actually. I was chosen to sing the national anthem at my kindergarten graduation. So, of course, my mom and dad were like, "Oh, wow, are you nervous?" I don't guess I was. I don't know if I just didn't realize what was about to happen. I was going to be in front of 300 or 400 people singing, but I went up there and, did the rise, and belted it out, and sit down. I sat back down confident, and they were like, "We got to get him singing." So they got me involved in Kincaid Gooch Studios, and I started singing there. I did that through graduating high school. And that was a great experience for me to just get on stage and learn to be comfortable in front of people. And it really set the stage for my life, because really God chose me to do music, and I know that now because I was just thrust into it, and it's been a very center point of my life ever since that day. But getting there, I was a really good kid. I really was. My mom will tell you, you were a great kid until you went to college. I wasn't a great kid. I grew up in church. I went to Cypress Church. I did Bible school, Sunday school, did all the Bible study, all that kind of stuff. And I believed in Jesus. I believed in God, but I did not have a relationship at all. I didn't have a prayer life. My prayer life was, "God, I need this. Be a genie and do it." Which is that is not how God works. So by the time I got to college, I actually got accepted into Belmont University to sing, which is, it was a big deal. Yeah, it was a big deal. And my mom reminds me of that. She's like, "You left," because I didn't stay there. I went there 2 years and left. She's like, "That's a big deal." But by the time I got to college, I didn't have my foundation was more religion and belief than it really was in Jesus. I didn't have that relationship, so it kind of crumbled. It wasn't built upon a rock. It was more sand, and it just started to crumble beneath me. And I didn't go to church. I didn't think about God for 2 years while I was in school. I was focused on me and doing music. And as a lot of you know, when you do that, your life can spiral out of control pretty quickly. So I had to leave Belmont, and I ended up going to Jackson State for a semester. And I was like, "Well, I'm going to go back to Nashville. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a man." I was 20 years old. I'm like, "I'm going to be a man. I'm going to show everybody." And I went, and I was back here within a month. And I remember thinking, I am so lost, and I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. I thought I was supposed to do music. I thought I was supposed to try to be this pop singer, rock singer, country. I wanted to do country at the time. I was a huge Rascal Flatts fan. I wanted to be Rascal Flatts. And so I came home basically with my tail between my legs, and I was like, "Okay, what am I doing?" And I remember I finally was like, "I'm going to pray." And I was in my bed one night at my parents' house, and I prayed, and I said, "God, I have no idea what you want me to do with my life, but I know that you do have a plan. I believe that, and I know it's not this, just drifting through life, living in my parents' house." I was like, "I've got to do something." I said, "I don't care what it is. I didn't care what it was. Just show me something." The next morning, my mom came in and said, "Hey, I just got off the phone, and there is a music business program at Lambeth University. We need to go there.
Wow.
That's a God thing.
Yeah, it is.
Of course, me being 21 years old, I'm like, maybe it's a coincidence. Because I didn't have a big relationship. I prayed about it, and it was so obvious looking back. Like, dude, that was God, man. Like, he was telling you, dude, come on. And I was just like, I think I thought about it, and I was just selfish and young. I was just foolish, really. And that was a great experience. I loved Lambeth. I met some of you may know Dr. Jeremy Tubbs. He was really good to me. He produced my first album for free. I mean, just a wonderful man. He didn't have to do that. It was a lot of work, and I know I was really hard to work with. I know I was really picky at the time, but I feel like he believed in me, and I think he believed that I was really driven, and I just really was trying so hard to do it. But still, just going to church every now and then, and started dating this girl, and we moved to Nashville after I graduated. Back to Lambeth, one of the great things about Lambeth was there weren't a whole lot of people there trying to do what I was doing. So I got a really good opportunity to get in the studio like every day and work with people writing songs and producing and just really getting a chance to have the opportunity to work on what I wanted to do every day. And I couldn't do that at Belmont. So it really was a blessing, and I think God worked that out perfectly for me because I needed that. Without that, I don't think I would have gotten the experience and cut my teeth doing that stuff to lead to the next step in my life. So I moved to Nashville, and I was like, okay, it's time to do this. And I think by this time I wanted to do pop music because I was probably too old at the time. I think I was like 24. It's like, you're too old by the time you're 24 to be a pop music band. Too rock or country. It's funny because I never thought about doing Christian music. I don't know why. Like, I was always really nervous to sing in church, but never anywhere else. And I don't know why that was. And it's really funny because when I look back now, I'm like, man, that's where I want to sing. That is the one place I want to sing. Every time I come home, I'm singing in church. But I moved to Nashville. I was living with this girl. We weren't married, so I was living in sin. And she wasn't really a Christian. And I was with this group of friends, and I know they weren't Christians. And it was just a slow decline. Just a really slow decline. And I think I was still trying to figure out who I was. And I remember, this was about 6 years ago, I was working a dead-end job. I couldn't get anywhere with music. I mean, I couldn't get a door to open. I couldn't meet anybody. It's just like, God shut the door, and I was like, I'm not opening this. You're not getting anywhere. And I remember that got my attention. God's always used music to get my attention because he knows how passionate I am about it. So God used that, and he got my attention because I looked up, and I was like, where am I? I was really depressed. I was taking Zoloft. Like, it was really bad. Like, I was like, I don't know where I am. I'm lost in life. I want to do this music thing, but I'm working a dead-end job. I got all these friends, and I felt like it was like God opened my eyes all of a sudden and was like, look where you are, man. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life right now? And I remember I prayed in the middle of the parking lot, and I was in tears. And I was just like, God, I know that was you all those years ago when you sent me to Lambeth. And I said, I know. I have seen you with my own eyes, and I ignored you anyway. Yet you still showed me grace, and you still are here. You found me right in my low point again, because he keeps coming after you. He'll chase after you. Like, he leaves the 99 to go after the one, And I love that song, Reckless Love. God showed me some reckless love that day. And I said, God, this time, I said, I am not going to take this for granted. I am not going to pray to you, have you fix this, and leave you again. I said, this time, I'm doing this the right way. So I got back to church. I started praying more than I ever had. And I've kept up with the stuff. I pray all the time. I don't just pray when I need something now. I pray when I'm thankful for something. I pray when God, God, you look what you did. Look how amazing this is. I talk to God like he's a friend now. That's how he wants us to talk to him. And man, God heard my prayer, and I'd like to say it was really quick, but it was, it was a process of 6 years to where I am today. But one thing was immediate. He started removing people from my life like that. And it was jarring. I was like, whoa. I looked up and I was like, I have no friends. What am I doing? It was like, but I had a peace about it. Like I knew, like God got me in a church and I started making new friends. I got involved on the worship team at World Outreach Church in Murfreesboro. It's a big church out there. It was a big opportunity, and it was really, I got up there and it's 2,000 people out there. I'm like, I remember the first time I said, thank you, God. I said, I don't care if I'm awful. Just thank you for the opportunity. And he gave me that opportunity. I know he did. God was there. I could have, if I would have not prayed to him that day, there's no telling where I'd be. Because he set this, when I dedicated to him, he has moved me up steadily. For 6 years, I've seen it. I met my wife, who was perfect for me. And she always says, I was waiting on you. And I was like, I know. I was like, it was my fault. We would have met a lot earlier if I would have done the things I was supposed to be doing. And I had my first son. His name's Maverick. He just turned 1 year old. And he is the gift I did not know I needed. He changed my whole perspective on life. Because your life goes from being about you to being about your kid. And I think it's a great thing. For some reason, at least me, I was a lot more selfish until I had a kid. When you have a kid, it's just like, okay, your whole view changes. God's really refined my heart over the last 6 years because I had a very worldly view. I was thinking of, how to impress the world. I was caring about what people thought, and I didn't care what God thought. And he's slowly been like, you need to worry about what I think. I'll take care of everything else. And even if the world hates you, it hated me first. I think I've tried to do that. It's a challenge sometimes. I think it's a challenge for all of us. But another thing I've learned about God over the last 6 years is it's a daily thing. It's not like pray about it and he'll take care of it for a month. It's like, no, you gotta every day wake up, say that prayer, be with God. And when I say my prayers, if I read some scripture, my days usually go so much smoother. And because I have a better mental perspective. You have to renew your mind every day. And that's something I've done, or tried to do. And there are days I don't do it. I've caught myself like a week later and I'm like, man, I feel awful. And I'm like, I haven't been reading the Bible. I haven't been praying like I should. And God's always there. Probably about 3.5 years ago, I was like, man, I think I need to do Christian music. It was like, I had this peace about it. It's like, I can't describe the feeling. It was like, I remember calling my mom, it's like, I know what I need to do. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do. And I just started doing videos on Instagram and just posting stuff. And this guy found me and I was like, man, he's like, I think you've got a really unique voice. He said, I think you can do this. You've got a lot of work to do. And I did, and I've done a lot of work, but he has provided so many opportunities to just work with the most amazing people in the music industry. Great people, just so talented, and when you're around other talented people, it raises your game, and God provided all those opportunities, and the one thing I have to keep focus of now is, God, what do you want? Where do you want me to go? Because sometimes it can be real easy to try to veer off and do your own thing. And I've noticed over these last few years, working with them, when I'm pushing, God's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. When I relax, all right, you take the reins, doors will open. And that's really what I've experienced the most in the last few years with God, is just patience. God likes when you're patient. When you're relaxed and you're just focused on the here and now, I think it's great to have a plan. I think that's okay, but the plan's never going to work the way you think. God's got the plan, so just let God handle it, and that's really what I'm trying to do. And I'm excited to see where I go from here. I wrote this song called My Story. I think it's going to be my first single, and it's really about it's really like it was about me, but it's really about everybody, because I think we're all, before God, we're burnout. You're not who you're supposed to be. Like, my story was a burnout. I was headed for a fallout. I was in despair. But the chorus is, but my story is redemption, forgiveness, a heart coming home to the arms of the Savior who calls me his own. I was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. And my story is only good because of Jesus. So I know everybody that gets up here and speaks has a great story to tell. But the only reason any of them are good is because of Jesus. Amen. The only reason I have a story to tell is because of Jesus. Without him, our stories would be for nothing.
Yes.
And I just feel very blessed to be up here and to be able to share that with you. I've never given my testimony in public before, but this is my first time. I need to get used to it. Thank you very much. But I'm very passionate about the Lord, and I have seen him with my own eyes. I've seen God work in my life, and I've seen him work in other people's lives.